to a new edition of the Viral Virtue Show, and it's always a good feeling when you join in. This is the Viral Virtue Show, the show that promotes a culture of good character, morals, and values. Today we'll be talking about something really interesting. We'll be talking about maximizing sexual pleasure in marriage. And as usual, I have my co-hosts in the house. I have OJ and OC.
Hi.
You know, I'm eager. I'm eager to know what OJ thinks about this topic. You know, he's not yet married, he's about to. So when we talk about maximizing sexual pleasure in marriage, how do you feel?
I think being part of today's conversation, I'm going to be kind of like an observer. I will watch and also learn, right? And then just drop a few things on the things I've learned so far, I've heard, right, as regards maximizing sexual pleasure in marriage.
The things you've learned from reading Every Woman, because you look like the kind of person, you look like the kind of guy.
It's very important.
You read it? I was right.
But like,
okay.
I've heard it from like 3 or 4 persons, so I know it's something I'm going to read before I...
All right, great. So what do you think about the topic?
My husband has read Every Woman.
My husband has read from cover to cover 2 times. So what do you think about the topic?
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about maximizing it. Because just before we came on, LG and I were talking, and it's like people claim that they are not happy in their marriage, but they still churn out babies. So I'm like, yeah, that you have sex doesn't mean it's a great sex life. Sometimes if you've ever been angry with your husband before and prolonged anger and he wants to have sex with you, I'm sure it's almost like it's difficult. So when you see babies coming out, it doesn't necessarily mean they had a great sex life. It just means let's just get the thing done. So a bad marriage can make your sex life, you know, it's not pleasant. You know, so talking about maximizing it is something that everyone
every couple should.
Yeah, it's good conversation.
I am particularly interested in this topic because, of course, we all want to get better, you know. And for people out there, for those about to get married and, you know, those already married, you know, the thing about this topic and the thing about the whole sex thing, you move from a place where you should not be having sex, a place where, you know, your mothers, your parents have told you, don't have sex, fornication is a sin, and, you know, they really school you on that. And then you move to a place where you should have sex. In fact, where sex is a major, you know, for the married, and all the voices go silent. And nobody's telling you how. So most couples are, you know, trying to figure out their way in the dark. And it's really, it's not a nice thing. So that's why I'm really excited that today we'll be talking about maximizing sexual pleasure in marriage. And to do this, we have an amazing guest. We have somebody that is well schooled in this matter.
Okay.
All right, so we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll meet our guest.
Hey there, welcome back to the Viral Virtue. Today just before we went on break, we were introducing our topic, which is maximizing the marriage bed, the sexual pleasure in marriage. And we have a fantastic guest in the house today. Thank you very much for coming, Victor.
My pleasure.
Victor is here to tell us how we can have great sex lives, right? So I'll start by asking you, do you have a great sex life, sir?
Well, I do. I'm
sure.
What can I say?
I'm sure maybe that's one of the reasons I was recommended to be here.
I am curious. I am curious. Yeah. So what do you do, and why do you think you were recommended?
Well, I think every time you see a marriage working, there must be people who are deliberate in it.
Yes.
And if you want to enjoy sex in marriage, you have to be deliberate about it. You know, it's not something you just read and just wish it. You have to work it out. There's a place where you must work it out in order to have what you really want. So if you want to maximize sex in marriage, you have to be deliberate about it.
But that's not what Hollywood tells us. Hollywood tells us that
It just
the
happens.
sparks happen spontaneously.
No,
you don't need to do anything.
All you need to do
doesn't.
is just look at the
you're
person
always
for
on
a bit
fire,
and, you know.
tearing off right from the road all the way to the bedroom. It's so easy. There's nothing deliberate about it. It's always
that's
spontaneous.
never true. That's never true. You don't just wish it. The reason is because you are dealing with your spouse. And if you are excited about it and your spouse is not excited about it,
Yes.
you're never going to come to a common place where you have that maximum pleasure. So you must have that conversation. Both of you have to be deliberate about it. You see, the thing is, if you are not yet married, the devil will do everything to want to make you to have sex before marriage.
Yes.
But if you're married, the devil will want to do everything not to make you have sex in marriage. So there's a place for conversation, and then there's a place where you have to get to the main thing.
Yes.
You know, and that is what I call being deliberate about
Being
it.
deliberate
You know,
about it.
you must act it. This is beyond faith in it.
It's beyond faith.
Yeah, you
So
must
you
Faith
talk-
without works.
Work it out.
exactly.
Faith without
You
works.
must-
So you
you
talked
must work
about
on it.
conversation. How do I have, okay, for example, I'm just saying I have a partner that doesn't like to talk about it, or, you know, so how do I initiate those kind of conversations?
So I will ask you a question, like, how did you get that partner? You know, there's a courtship period where you are expected to talk about everything, right? From those periods, you'll be able to know the kind of person you're dealing with. And I would never advise you to get married without talking about sex or with the person you're going to,
Agreed.
you know, live the rest of your life. So if you're married, it's expected that you must have had certain conversation, then you begin to build on it.
So for those just getting into marriage or trying to get into marriage, they should ensure they talk about it. Because I say that to
Absolutely.
say, because a lot of people
Absolutely.
just talk superficially
Yeah.
about it. They don't go in depth. So I was one of those, I think I've told you before, I was one of those that, you know, sex was just, I just don't dabble into sex. I
wow.
talk, but my husband psychologically prepared my mind for
Absolutely.
it. So yeah.
So you must talk about it.
But you know, I've been wondering, there's a lot of, so many people don't talk about their sex lives. And something tells me it's largely because people are not even satisfied. And so that means that there's a large number of people that are not satisfied about their sex lives. And how important is it to be satisfied? I mean, we know of people who have been married 40 years. And the woman said, I've never enjoyed sex in marriage. So how important is it to have a rich sex life?
What I have to say about this is it that from the first day of the marriage, the person never enjoyed the sex life, or it is as a result of happenings, you know, that they get to say they have never enjoyed their sex life?
You know,
So you need to find out that, because if you get married and from the first day you don't enjoy sex, there's something that is fundamentally wrong with that. It could be as a result of experiences or something else. But sex is meant to be enjoyed from day one.
on day one.
Even if you get into it without having it, there's a place where you have conversation to progress further. I don't understand. I don't know if you
Yes,
get what
I
I'm
do,
saying.
sir.
So we must ask questions. Is it from the first day that you have never enjoyed sex, or as you progress, things get bad? You need to know where that person is before you can be able to advise them on what they need to do.
Honestly, you're right in saying that. You know, Big OJ, I was just thinking, you know, a lot of times marriages are prearranged. In our culture here, we've had prearranged marriages. I feel like that could be responsible for why someone might not find anything attractive about this person.
Yeah.
They might hate the way they perform the sexual act.
Absolutely.
But they have been programmed to believe that my duty is to produce children. I don't even expect to enjoy sex. It's only the man that should enjoy sex.
Yeah.
So maybe that might, how do we begin to change that
sorry to
mindset?
comment. Another part of this conversation is if someone has been abused before,
I was going to go into
and
that.
the person has not healed properly, you know, there's episode that could play when they are with their partner. So conversations like this, you need to know what the root cause is. You know, it is from the root cause that you now begin to give counsel to what needs to be done. So if someone has not healed properly and they just got married, even though they have had the conversation about sex, there's a tendency that that person might not enjoy sex.
Might not enjoy
You
sex.
know, but things can progress with time if the conversations are deliberate and if the person is willing to open up to get healed, you know, so that's
All right,
part
I'll
of it.
follow up after the break, sir, on how we can improve our sex life.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Heart to Heart.
It's good to have you both on the program.
It's our pleasure to be here.
What is the truth? I've been singing for as long as.
A program that allows you into the world of your favorite artists as they share their personal stories with you.
And we realized on the second day it wasn't improving.
And there are many people who have been there and have compromised.
No matter what I face.
People go from admiring these people and forget that these people are really human.
The program gives you the opportunity to really see the person behind every performance you see.
See how it changed my life. See how it washed me clean.
Watch episodes of Heart to Heart on this channel.
Welcome back to the Viral Virtue Show. Today we are talking about maximizing sexual pleasure in marriage, and with us we have Mr. Victor here, an expert in these matters. Now, OJ, you were asking me some questions that you shouldn't be asking me. So let's ask the experts. So you were going to say something.
Yes, Mr. Victor, in the time and age we are right now, for many people, their first exposure to sex or the concept of sex is maybe through pornography, like you were saying before the break, maybe some form of abuse. And for those who may have been exposed to pornography and all of that, they have maybe a heightened sense of expectation when it comes to marriage. When it comes to them getting married, there's that heightened sense of expectation. So how can they manage that? How more like manage it, right? So it's not just coming from a place of selfishness, but you're also putting the other person in the picture.
Well, in response to this, I don't believe people should watch porn, you know, because pornography is a sin and you cannot learn an act from sinful, you know. So I want to suggest or give this counsel that if you happen to be in that place first, as a child of God, you must begin somewhere. There's a place where the Bible talks about renewing your mind. You know, everything starts from the mind. You have to get your mind aligned to the Word of God, you know, and it's progressive. It's not something that just happens instantaneously. You have to progress from renewing your mind until you get to the place where you begin to act right. So there's no need expecting something that you have learned wrongly for you to maximize it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So there's that place where you have to let the Word of God work in you. That's the only place where you begin to now enjoy the right thing the proper way. You know, that's what I have.
So Eddie, coming to you, you were, I've been watching you.
Yes,
want to say
that's
something.
because I have a question for you and Mr. Victor.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've been married for a couple of years.
Yeah,
like
15, almost 15
wow.
years.
Oh, wow.
So, and you
That's
seem
great.
like you are really enjoying yourself.
Yes, I really like. My
So I
husband
want
is a
to-
cool dude.
Okay. All right, so I want you to give us, I want both of you, you know, to give us, let's say, 3 tips to spicing up the sex, you know, the sex life.
Okay, I'll go first so that the expert can tie up the story. So I think that, first of all, my husband and I are great friends. We're very playful.
That's great.
We're very playful. So we brought that playfulness into our sex life. We like to clown. My husband clowns around a lot when he's in the mood. I mean, people will not believe. I'm sorry, honey, that I have to say this out here. You know, he clowns around when he's in the mood. I used to be the uptight one, you know, but he will make me laugh and he will loosen up the atmosphere, and that really does help. Humor does really help with sex. I think that role playing too might help as well. Yes, but I'm just really big on the humor. Really big on humor. I think it makes for a great sex life.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So you see, it works for different people. For example, my wife just wants you to talk about it. While you are away in the office, if you want to come home and have it, let's begin the conversation.
Yes, I feel that way.
For some people, you have to talk about it, get them to be mentally ready, you know, so that when you come, that doesn't work for me, but because it works for her, I have to play along. This is where conversation comes in. You know, you don't just...
So it's part of foreplay.
Exactly. For some people, you have to prepare them mentally. And let me just say this. There will never be a time where both couples will feel like having sex.
All the
At
time.
the same
At the
time.
same time.
Okay. It will always be driven by one partner.
person.
You know, so if you are on the path, you know, where you are usually
You have a higher
driven-
sexual drive.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have to prepare the ground. Let me use that phrase, you know, ahead of time. Get that person to be at the same page where you are, so that by the time you guys meet,
The
Fireworks.
it's just going to be fire here and
Fireworks.
there, you know.
Fireworks. So what do you say? A lot of young people, especially because we're a show that promotes the culture of morals and values, we're trying to encourage people to wait until the wedding night, you know, and all of that. What do you say to people who have experimented heavily and so come into them and feel, I cannot stay with one person, I'm going to find it boring? How do you encourage them to find a way to spice up their sex lives with one person, build a life with a person?
Before or in the marriage?
No, in the marriage.
Good. I needed to make that clear.
Yes. Because somebody...
We're encouraging
Yes.
people to wait till married.
Yeah.
So once they're married...
So if you are married, and I will first pray that you find a partner that is as active as you are, you know, or worse active as you are. Let me use that.
Okay, so a very active man should not go and marry
so
a totally inexperienced person?
Yeah, that has a way of affecting also. That has,
That's
because... Yeah, that's the truth. That has
mental.
a way of affecting also. Because if you get, for example, an active person and someone who is not active, there's going to be some challenge around that marriage within a period of time. Now, depending on how both people sit to have conversation about that.
I was just pointing at her
Yeah.
because I did a lot of mental
Yeah, because
work.
I was at that point. I was at that point where
Get her
sex was
ready.
just not my thing.
Really?
It was a man's thing. And, you know,
Really?
psychologically, he got me to that point.
You feel
where-
used at the point.
Yes. No. Before we got married, he got me to that point where we talked a lot about sex and, you know, in the God's way and all of that. And we, you know, he will play games, he will talk, but, you know, it was all good. And I like the place we are at now. So I would like us to play a game so that we can, you know, losing up a bit. No, not like that. Just be calming down.
Just spice it up because it's not tight. Not tight.
All right, so let's play a game.
Okay.
Please, Big OJ, can you help me with the tissue and the cup?
Okay.
All right. So we are going to work in teams.
Okay.
And I think this is the way it's going to work. We are going to use the tissue. OJ, please help me.
Okay. The cups, right?
Yes. And so it's going to be me and Mr. Victor and Osi and
Outfits
OJ.
look-
Yeah, that's close,
They
you
look
know.
like matching.
It's great. All right, so,
so-
and we are going to be their hype men. This was going to
and
happen.
Timpu. You know what an Timpu is?
No, I've been hearing it, but
Best
I'm
man,
not sure.
hype man.
Okay, come to my team.
Best friend, hype man.
All right. All right, so we are going to put this here. And then we're going to pour water in the cup.
Okay, so we're going to turn it this way.
Yes,
the other
please.
way. Okay, you know what? Cut that part off.
Yes.
It's like you're skilled in this game. Okay.
He's the expert.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do
so
this.
it starts like this, maybe like this point.
So what am I supposed to do?
Fill it up. Fill the cup up.
Up completely?
Not totally.
Maybe to like the final
A midway.
line.
No,
just
that'll be
sufficient.
okay. I think that's
Sufficient
good.
to
So
say
Where's the
no, we are
other
good.
one?
Okay.
No, we need-
I think
Do
you're
that
meant to
too.
full the cup.
Okay, let's
Yes,
do it.
so
The
that it
expert
stays
is talking.
stable.
All right. I'll fill it
Because
up.
if the water pours, it's to the disadvantage of the person pulling it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will
So
soften the
Tissue.
oh, you know this game?
I do.
I think the right partner. All right, we have just 2 minutes to play this game.
Just
Are
to
you
make it
trying
quick, I'm
to-
So
sorry.
hold on, who's going to be
Okay.
on this side?
I think
This-
I'll
I'll
be on
stay
this side.
here.
No,
Okay.
since you're closer
If you want
there.
me here, you have to cut the tissue.
Oh, okay.
That part is a bit weak.
The
Okay.
whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
You see his intentionality.
Okay.
So you
No,
can
I think we
imagine-
should cut
No, pick, no, don't worry.
Okay.
Just
do
cut
this.
off the other
because
part.
it feels like it goes all the way.
Don't
Yes,
worry.
it's very
I may
intentional.
need
It
to
Goes
go
all
that
the way. It goes all the way. It
Doesn't
goes all
matter.
the way.
Doesn't matter.
So you-
I
Don't
may
worry,
need
just
to
leave
go
it like
way.
that.
Okay.
Okay,
Pass
that's-
it.
There has to be a winner anyway.
Yes. So should I come that way?
Head
Yes.
until we win.
Big OJ, let's be gracious.
Okay, it's all good.
Let's be gracious.
All right, so we are starting in 1, in 3, 2, 1. Start.
Okay.
Go Victor, go Victor, go Victor. I said be hyping your partner. Oh.
I won.
All right, that's nice. That's so nice.
Thank you. Head or tail, we win.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are all winners.
We're all winners. We're all winners.
All right, I think we've come to the end of the game.
Yes.
We have enjoyed
Yeah.
this chit chat with you.
Yes. The
OJ,
amazing
take it
thing
away.
is,
What have you learned from married
so
people? Give us 5
Exactly.
5 things that I've learned from the conversation today and from
True.
a couple of things that I've known is the fact that the definition and experience of pleasure may vary from one person to another.
To another.
Like we
True.
said, that's why it's important that people have conversations.
Conversations.
The second thing is that a person may need to evaluate their sexual desires and expectations, especially if they've been exposed to sex in the wrong way. You mentioned something like that. Then couples should look to not just satisfy themselves, but also satisfy their partners. I'm learning very well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
In
then,
fact, that's in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3.
Yes.
Wow.
You will see that.
yes.
Yeah.
And finally, sexual satisfaction is not overrated. It's very, very important in having a successful and enjoyable marriage. Yes.
He learns well.
I really learn
I think
well.
we're all learning.
Yes.
There's always something new to learn.
Yes.
With that said, we've come to the end of this episode of the Viral Virtue Show. We hope to see you some other time.
And
Stay tuned for
remember,
our
we need to sign our pillows.
Oh, yes. As we always do at the end of the show, sign the pillow of fame, as I call it. So,
Pillow of fame.
okay. Here, by signing, do you want to use the green or the
Let me use red.
red? Okay. Amazing.
My daughter's favorite color.
It's red.
Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Is that okay?
Great.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.
My pleasure to
Yes. And if you want to sponsor this show, if you want to keep seeing us, and if you want to partner with us, please follow the details on your screen. Now it's time for
Selfie.
with Big OJ.
Okay, so
That should be a hashtag.
selfie with Big
Big OJ, right? So, Mr. Victor, please just join us here.
Yes, please.